Hey now, and welcome to the Cardinals Stand Out in Your Career podcast, hosted by the Alumni Relations Office here at Saginaw Valley State University. My name is Nic Taylor. I'm the Director of Alumni Relations, and today we're really excited. We have a great topic. We're going to be talking about what does it take and all the things that come along with employing college students in your workforce today. And we've got a great guest today. We have Dr. JoLynne Grant. She's the owner of the Great Lakes Pet Emergency Center here in Saginaw. And JoLynne, it's so nice. Oh, sorry, Dr. Grant. It's so nice to see you again.
Good to see you, Nick.
The last time we got a chance to catch up was at our Distinguished Alumni Awards, where you were honored. So welcome back.
Well, thank you. Just every time I come, there's like people around to like congratulate me and stuff.
Well, we're excited to have you here. So today we're going to talk all about, employing college students. Can you tell us, post-graduation from SVSU, kind of what has been your professional journey? What are you doing now? How did you get there? That sort of thing.
Well, I graduated from SVSU and I had my degree in biology. And then I came back and got another one, a teaching certificate. So I went into the world of teaching, secondary ed. And then I went back to school and got my degree in veterinary medicine from Michigan State University.
Oh, that's awesome. I didn't know that.
And, since then I've been a vet, and I initially worked my first year in a regular practice doing regular daytime things. And one of my employees made me go work at the emergency clinic with him so that I could see the other parts of veterinary medicine. And that took off. I continued doing that, and now I have been an emergency doctor for 33 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's scary.
You see all sorts of things, I'm sure. We weren't going to get into those stories.
Oh, yeah.
But in the emergency medicine side, I'm sure it's very different than the day-to-day.
Oh, yeah. I see at least one porcupine dog a day. So, and they don't learn. They'll go ahead and do it all over again.
Repeat customers.
Yes. So we see a lot of porcupine dogs. We see a lot of dogs that choose to, be involved with marijuana.
Oh, really?
See at least one of those a day as well. Oh, wow. And they can't come in, and they can barely stand and walk, and they're swaying back and forth.
Sure. And
they're really hungry for some reason.
Yeah. Wow. So in this current role, so now we're with the Great Lakes Pet Emergency. We're owning and we're operating it. What does managing and hiring college students, how does that fit into your day-to-day work?
Well, probably a third of my employees are college students. College students, first off, are much more willing to work late nights.
Oh, yeah.
And then they're also real curious. They want to do things. They want to learn things. They want to try things out, see what it is to be a vet and see if it's something that they want to do long term. And so I'm always happy to, give them the chance to do that so that, it's not a big surprise later on. So that's kind of how it started. I didn't really have an opportunity like that, there just weren't that many clinics, back in the olden days. And now today we have the opportunity to demonstrate, what we do. They have the opportunity to apply like their biology classes or chemistry classes or anatomy classes, to their job. And that makes it real. But I think it also helps them understand more about what their school topics are on.
Sure.
Because you have something you can pin it on and be like, oh, yeah, I have seen a cruciate ligament.
So I'm gonna ask then, was the motivation for you coming in hiring college students, do you think it was more out of a necessity, finding the right workforce of people who could fill those roles? Or was it providing some opportunities for those college students to see, or a combination of both?
It was a combination of both. I mean, the students came to us, looking for jobs. Regular daytime practice is open during the day when they're at school.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of a natural fit that way. And then having the teaching background that I got from Saginaw Valley,
Sure.
That gave me the background and the education I needed to get these guys in there. And a lot of them go on to veterinary school.
Yeah.
I have several a year that go on to vet school. Had one of them. Well, actually, I had 3 graduate this past year.
Oh, cool.
One came back, and she's working at the clinic now, for which I'm really grateful. And the other 2 have gone on to really cool jobs in other states. But, it's been that constant, they go out and they do all kinds of things that, you're hoping they come back to work for you forever.
Sure.
But they go out and they do these really neat things.
That's very cool. What do you think, if you were to talk to folks, alumni who are out there who maybe own their own business or hiring managers in their field, what do employers often underestimate about college students as employees?
I don't think they realize the skills and the enthusiasm that they bring. So they may not be able to come in and take over and completely do a job, but they're at that stage of life where they're learning, and you teach them, and all of a sudden you've got a well-educated person to do what you need them to do.
Sure. When you're hiring, I see that a lot because I work with a lot of college students. Obviously, we're being at a university and then seeing that there's that want and that need to learn more. I think a lot of people sometimes try to stereotype that college student as well. They're going to clock in and clock out and not do anything more than what's required, right? And do you find with your college students, is that the case, or because it really matches some of their long-term career goals, they're sometimes maybe more invested than more experienced folks?
I would say that's the case. They want to do more. They want to pick up more skills. There are days when they have to get out of there on time because they have to go home and study for a test or whatever. But the majority of them are pretty flexible and just really eager to learn new things, to be allowed to do things that they're seeing other people do. I think it's a sense of pride for them to be able to go home and say, yep, I learned how to put in an IV catheter today or whatever.
Sure. So let's pretend I'm a college student and I'm coming and I'm very interested in getting a job at your place of employment. What are some of the qualities that you think I need to show that matter most in being a good member of your staff?
I want to see that you can talk. You can say, introduce yourself, act confident. In the clinic, what I've noticed is that we've got a treatment table at one end of the treatment area.
Yeah.
And the people that are going to work out the best are the ones that don't stand behind the treatment table and do nothing but kind of watch from there.
Sure.
If they go around to the other part of the room where all the activity is going on, you can tell they're interested in being there. They're not too scared. So that's one of the things that I look for is, where do you stand?
Yeah, that's great. I think that's interesting, and it's also, I think, very important in your line of work, right? You need the folks who are going to dive in, literally sometimes dive in, and whether it's the porcupine quill or whatever might be happening, dive in and help there. Do you find that college students, we hear about this all the time with younger generations. The younger generations have less social skills, less soft skills, those type of things. That's usually the stereotype that a lot of people talk about. Do you find that to be the case for a lot of your employees, or do they?
Very few.
Very few?
I have some that are that way. Some of them, it's just a matter of getting comfortable, and then
Sure.
they come out of their shell.
Mhm.
They don't want to interrupt something or break something or do something wrong or get in the way of something.
Sure.
And I think once they know more about what's going on, they're a lot more comfortable and a lot more talky then.
Yeah. So maybe run me through a little bit when you have student employees who are there and they're jumping in, they're excited to learn, but maybe they're making mistakes along the way. What's the feedback process been like for you? I mean, are we having difficult conversations with them all the time, or do they tend to be really responsive when something comes up?
Uh, I don't really recall that many difficult conversations. You feel bad if they got bitten.
Sure.
You feel even worse if they're bleeding.
Yeah.
But fortunately, that doesn't happen a lot. They really seem to learn from watching other people and what needs to be done, but they're not afraid to jump in typically. And I think that's probably part of what we're looking for when we have them come in to visit the clinic, that kind of thing, to kind of give us a heads up that, yeah, I think this person's going to work because instead of running when the skunk turned its tail towards her,
I would run. I'm just putting it out there.
that actually would probably be the smart thing to do, or at least just cut off the other way.
Absolutely. And I think too, in your line of work, I look at this as incredibly beneficial for the student. I think my big question, and I think you've answered a lot of this, I want to maybe hit home on the fact for you in your business, what has been the biggest benefit? What has been the biggest draw for you? Not necessarily this. We know that the students are getting great experience and all that, but has there been a big benefit on your end in having these students here?
They're doing work that I need done.
Yeah.
They are willing to jump in and clean.
Yeah.
Which is a big part of medicine, is cleaning up and that kind of thing. And they're willing to learn. They're willing to do like CE or conferences on the computer. We'll get some.
You mean when you say CE, you're talking about continuing education?
I guess it's not continuing for them.
Sure.
But, there'll be classes online about how to do X, Y, or Z. And they're okay taking it. There's not like, I'm not good in school or that kind of thing. They take it and they enjoy it and they learn from it.
That's awesome. Now, I'm guessing here, and we haven't talked yet, but I'm assuming that maybe you've hired some former student employees who have moved on into like full-time roles. Is that the case?
I have hired some that have moved on to be full-time doctors in other states, in other cities, and some, have left here and come and stayed with me and, been veterinary assistants, or they'll go on to do tech school and, still hang out at the clinic and work there. And that makes me happy.
So has that transition been, well, let me ask maybe what has made that transition successful for some of those people who have stayed and either been, veterinary assistants or in the long run working for you?
Well, they have a home.
Yeah.
It's not like they're having to drive, 70 miles because they live there. Most of them are, a good share of them are from the Tri-City area, so that works out well for them. So that's kind of nice. And they know things. They know, like if we need to go down to Myers to get some chicken to, feed a sick pet, they know where Myers is.
Right.
And, so they have just that baseline knowledge that they probably never considered would come in useful for a job.
I got to imagine, and this is me projecting a little bit because I've hired some student workers who have turned into professionals myself. It probably helps with the culture of your business, right? I mean, there's some teamwork that's already involved. There's some commonality of SVSU there. And so have you had folks, I mean, knowing you the way I know you, I know that the culture is probably fun, but it's also, you're working in a high stress environment for some of these folks. You have families.
For all of us.
Exactly. You have families who are coming in emergency situations, and that culture is probably really important.
Yeah, it's nice to have other people your age to kind of fall back on if it's a bad day.
Yeah.
You know, I can see where if you're the youngest person there and you don't know anyone and you spend all your time, taking out the trash and stuff, you're not going to have that opportunity where other people your age are working there and you know these people because you've been there for a while. And if it's a bad day, you can all just take some time and kind of talk it over afterwards and not feel so bad about what's going on.
Yeah, I think it's important. I mean, as these college students are working their way through college, they're getting their education and they're getting a great experience in your place of business, but they're getting a great experience in something they're passionate about. Managing those two together are so important. And I'm not going to lie, having a distinguished alumni to be there as a mentor and someone that they can ask those questions, I'm sure they're getting so much out of it as well. And I think that's the important fact, or something that I think we would want our alumni to consider long term, is that this is mutually beneficial along the way.
Exactly. Yeah. It's one thing to have people come in and work for, part-time for a year or two and then take off. But that's not really what's happening. These guys are coming in, they're working, they're staying because they like it, because it's helping them. And then ideally they go off to vet school or tech school, and then they want to come back because they want to, be mentors themselves and, come back to what they know. And
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm an employer out there. I want you to talk to me. I'm an employer out there, and I've been, I won't say curmudgeonly, but I have not been a big proponent of consistently going out and hiring college students. I'm always worried that college students are not ready for some professional responsibility. What type of advice would you give me as an employer out there if I were looking at hiring college students and I had that viewpoint?
Well, you were in that position once. You were younger once. And do you think you were less responsible than you are now? Or is it,
I love that.
Yeah. You learn at the college level skills that you're going to be able to use the rest of your life. And this is my chance to mold you, to have you be a responsible person, but to see that you matter and what you do is important. And
that's awesome.
They're all young yous.
I didn't expect that. I'm going to be honest. When you said that, I was like, I was waiting for you to say, "Well, they're they are professional already. They've gotten a certain level." But when I think back about myself, like, 22-year-old Nick, 19-year-old Nick was probably somewhat more responsible than he is now in certain aspects. And to think of it that way, we all come from that type of experience. We all needed that hand up eventually, and I think this is a good way to provide that. In your experience, I talk about this from the student perspective of providing a hand up and some professional experience and that they're ready to do this. What are some of the long-term benefits that maybe you see for your business in being able to provide those experiences for the students? Does it, we talked a little bit about culture. We talked about, does it impact retention of employees? Do the employees who are not college students enjoy having them around? But are there long-term benefits for it also?
Well, I think there's long-term benefits because, like we talked about earlier, some of them come back for a lifetime career. So I like that a lot. I think it gives them a chance to spread their knowledge and learn their mentorship skills that way. I think my people that haven't necessarily gone to, gotten a 4-year degree kind of thing, I think they like it because they get to go ahead and mentor or impact these students and, teach them skills. So I think it's a win-win all around. And these guys a lot of times like working and put in that extra time when you really need it.
I love it. And I think you're right. Your college students tend to be, I know we're stereotyping a little bit here, but they tend to be in that time of life when they have the extra effort to extend, where someone who's more seasoned, farther in their career, has a lot of maybe different obligations.
Right. They're married, they have kids. Yeah. And I'm getting that extra 3 or 4 hours that
absolutely
go for other things later on.
So what would, I know we've been talking mainly to the alumni out there looking at what are some of the things that you would tell if you could teach a class at SVSU about employability when you're trying to home grow some of your future employees, right? What are some of the things that you would tell students that would help them be more employable for someone while they're in college?
Be professional. Don't expect to be spoon-fed everything. Take initiative.
Yeah.
If there's something you don't know, ask. If there's something you don't know, when you go home, read up on it a little bit. You'll be a real valuable member of the community if you do that. If you go home and you learn, dogs like to do X, Y, or Z, and you have to do something scary with them. Talk about using some of that stuff you learned at home. Why don't we try doing this and see, will that make things easier for them and for you?
Sure. I think it's interesting. You're the big takeaway I hear from you in that one is that take initiative piece. I think we've trained, I'll use the term train, I know I'm speaking to a pet lover, but we've even trained our students to wait until assignment, right? Wait until you get the checklist, wait until you get the syllabus in order to start learning or doing all those things. And I think what I hear you're saying is, it's okay. You don't have to wait. If you show the initiative, that shows an employer that that's someone who's going to be really, really good when they get here.
Exactly. And they may, that way you're not getting pocketed into one specific thing.
Yeah.
If you're really good at something else, that you can see benefiting everyone there, go ahead and do that and change things.
Right.
Things don't have to go along like they always have. I mean, that's how things become new and better, is people jumping in and taking the initiative to try different things that maybe you've learned somewhere else or seen on TV or read about, kind of thing.
And what I love about it is, we've been talking to alumni who might be hiring managers out there. I would say the same piece of advice is really important as well. Take initiative. There are, and I think you're a great example of this, but there are students who are here who have the skill sets that you need and can be very helpful. And you have to they're not going to show up at your doorstep. You can't just put a LinkedIn post out there and expect a college student to apply for it. I think it takes some of I know you have a great relationship with Heidi Lang here on campus. It takes some of those relationship buildings here on campus. If I was an employer out there, I'm going to give my commercial here, sorry. But if I was an employer out there, I think I'd want to know who Teresa George is in career services at SVSU. I'd want to reach out to her and say, hey, here are some of my needs. How do we go about this process? What are ways I can talk to the right students and find the right folks to do it?
Yeah, because that way they're going to know a little bit more about both parties and can fit them together better. yeah, this person always likes to do this. And I know that's what these guys really, really are interested in, so you can fit them together like a puzzle piece that way.
I love that metaphor. I have a couple, I've got amazing college work study students that work in our office. And one of the first conversations we have when they get started is, okay, what are you passionate about? What do you want to work on? Because it helps me figure out where they're going to be most, I don't want to say most useful, but where they're going to get the best experience in our office long term. And we've got some student workers who are doing some amazing stuff. They're helping with this podcast. They're doing things that are very important to their professional development. So, well, we're getting towards the end.
Aww.
Sorry, I know. But I always ask with one very specific question. So I want you to take a minute. We've talked a lot about a lot of different topics in there, but I want you to envision another distinguished alumni like yourself who's out there who maybe has a business or is a hiring manager for a business, and they are interested in hiring college students. They've heard some of the things that you've said about the benefits for it. What would be the one big piece of advice that you would want to tell that person first? The one thing, if you were sitting across the table from you, would say, hey, here it is.
Don't worry so much. Yeah, everybody has different skills, different things they love, different things they can do. And, not everybody's going to fit.
Yeah.
But some of them are, and some of them are going to be stars, and you're going to be really happy you did it, and it may make your job easier.
I love it. Well, thank you, Dr. Grant, for being here. We so appreciate you taking time out the day to come and talk.
Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. For those of you out there that have been listening, thank you for spending part of your day with us. There are going to be a lot more of these episodes coming out here in the near future. I want to remind you, if you have a topic that you'd either like to discuss or have some questions about, maybe want us to do some research, find a professional who knows a little bit about that topic, please never hesitate to reach out to us at alumni@svsu.edu. And in the subject heading, make sure you write Cardinals Stand Out in Your Career podcast. We'd love to hear from you and create some more great podcasts that are helpful out there. As always, we love it when our Cardinals stand out in their community. Thank you for doing everything that you do. And remember, it's a great day to be a Cardinal. Thank you.